I mean, at a high level, the carbon markets exist to put money into projects that can either avoid carbon going into the atmosphere or remove carbon that is already in the atmosphere. So if I give you an example of avoiding putting more carbon in the atmosphere, it would be do not cut down existing forests. Right? Cutting down existing forests releases a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. It's a very bad thing. Removing carbon from the atmosphere would be planting new forests, planting new trees that are going to grow up and capture carbon. Right? So at a high level, carbon markets are putting money into projects that either avoid carbon going into the air or remove carbon from the air. And obviously, to fight climate change, we have too much carbon dioxide in the air, and we are also putting way too much more carbon dioxide in there. So it's a core part of fighting climate change.
Yeah.
You have...
And just so that all makes sense at this point. So people are actually looking to do this, but why? I guess because obviously we all want to, but it's not for charity. There's a special reason that firms or people might want to do this. So tell us more.
Yes. So this comes into the two types of carbon markets. So you have two types. One is the compliance market, like the emission trading schemes in Europe, in California, et cetera. Those markets, it's a compliance market. You don't have a choice. You have to do it. If you are a certain type of company and you are in the compliance market in that region, you have to look at purchasing compliance carbon credits. Then you have the other type of carbon market, which is the voluntary market. And this is, broadly speaking, the market that gets most press. The voluntary market is where companies are making a voluntary commitment to be net zero. And that voluntary commitment is becoming less voluntary, but it still is voluntary. You have sort of soft regulations coming up, like Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, that are outlining how companies should be reducing their emissions and then looking to purchase carbon credits for each ton of carbon they can't yet reduce from their own operations. But this would be done on the voluntary carbon market. And so the voluntary carbon market, the reason why you would do that is where the argument comes a bit into why would you do that? So companies do it to get ahead of regulations. So thinking actually almost inherently the regulations will tighten up in a lot of jurisdictions around the world, whereas right now it's a nice thing to do, but it will become a thing you have to do. So if you're looking at getting ahead of that, buy carbon credits today, such as that you can have what they would call a high integrity net zero strategy. You're looking at avoiding all the emissions you can, flying less, reducing, moving to renewable energy, and then purchasing high quality carbon credits for the remaining. Other companies are looking at it as a new financial market. So thinking actually lots of companies around the world will need to buy more carbon credits. Carbon credits come from carbon projects like planting trees, restoring peatland, mangroves, etc. There's a finite supply, and thus the price of this new commodity, this new asset class is going to increase. So you get a lot of asset managers, traders, etc., who are looking at it as a place to get a new return on their investment.